let's have a look at some of the changes for patch 1. Some changes have been noted in the patch notes, some have not. Starting off with Chaos, the Chaos Lord, with his boarded Chaos Steed. He used to have something called the Filth Mace, which could make him terror causing and reduce the combat ability of the enemy significantly. He got that if he took the boarded Chaos Steed. He does not have the Filth Mace anymore. So no terror causing, he doesn't cause fear until you get the Manticore, then he causes fear and terror. Some units, like the Chosen, armor increase, they are still useless. The Chaos Chariot, price reduction down to 950, still problematic. It's still problematic to use it. It's unreliable and it requires a lot of micro to work properly. The charge bonus of 80 on the Chaos Knights with Lances is one of the best, if not the best, charge bonus in the game. What kills the Chaos Knights is their lack of a bonus versus large. So if you're somehow able to reduce their charge bonus, any unit with a bonus against large is going to do very well against the Chaos Knights. So Chaos still has significant problems. Trolls, both Chaos Trolls and Armored Chaos Trolls, got an increase in weapon strength. They still suffer from their trademark low leadership. They've also gotten smaller hitboxes for the Chaos Spawn, so presumably they should be harder to hit with missiles, but I haven't tested this. I don't have a baseline to test it on, so I don't know how big that difference really is in terms of real combat performance. The vampire counts, in my opinion, come out as one of the winners of the patch. That is because, yes, Buna nerfed, Spirit Leech nerfed, however, magical missiles are also much more unreliable. So Spirit Leech is still more reliable than magical missiles for killing characters, whereas magical missiles used to be quite reliable because they could be fired from long range. Now you will see magical missiles hit quite a bit more. One thing that is more powerful, that's very important, you didn't see Invocation of Nehek used too much in battles, and it wasn't that powerful. If you overcast it, you get a pretty large area where you will raise fallen soldiers and replenish hit points of fallen models. On a unit like Cairn Wraiths or these Blood Knights or the Crypt Horrors, you reanimate a unit that's very hard to kill in the first place. So they trade effectively one-on-one against enemy units of the same price range. However, if you can also raise back models and increase the hit points significantly, then it's going to be very hard to grind down the undead. So it's even more important to kill the vampire or necromancer. However, it might be harder to do so with magic, and that might mean more artillery and skirmishers. However, they do not have the reliability that magic used to have. So there are some other changes here. The Hex Wraiths and the Cairn Wraiths, I'm fairly certain they had a physical resistance of 75% before, and that physical resistance is now increased to 80%. Also, their weapon strength of 40, I mean, it's 32 armor piercing damage, very good, although there are few wraiths in that unit. The armor of the Crypt Horrors has been reduced down to 30. I'm just going by memory here, so if I miss something, let me know. For the Empire, the Demigryph Knights got a price increase from 1400 to 1500. Increases in charge bonus for, I think both Empire Knights and Reich's Guard. Increases in, let's see, some animation changes, but I'm not going to talk too much about those, the animation changes, because it doesn't really impact the game that much. And let's see here. For greenskins, for whatever reason, they decided to reduce the damage of archers and night goblins Night Goblin archers down to 16 with 1 armor piercing, and I have no idea. Doesn't come with a price decrease either. And the Goblin Wolf Riders also get that reduction to their missile damage, and so do the Forest Goblin Spider Rider archers. Trolls again get an increase to weapon strength. They still need to be used like they were used before, with the... They need either to flank, rear charge, or to be supported by a unit like goblins, orc boys, or just be in a unit that surrounds them, so they can't be singled out. For the dwarfs, they got a reduction in the damage of the blasting charges on the miners. No idea why. It was in the 50s, 56, 58 I believe. Now it's down to 40, which is a significant decrease. It's not like these guys were overpowered in any way, and it's not like the dwarfs don't need something. And the missile damage for the Ironbreakers, 54, so still more than the miners with the blasting charges, which I'm fairly certain they had the same amount of damage. For Bretonia, Grey Knights had some changes done to them. Charge bonus of 82 now, which puts them above the Demigryph Knights. For whatever reason, they decided to reduce the armor of the Spearmen-at-Arms and the Man-at-Arms down to 30. So let's have a look at let's see how I look at the Empire here. So yeah, down to the same level as the Spearmen and the Swordsmen of the Empire. And was that it? The changes to magic, I sort of talked about them in testing videos, so I'm not going to talk too much about them in this video, but boy oh boy, Bretonia needs help. They do not have the best cavalry. They do not have the best infantry by a long shot. They do not have the best missile infantry. They do not have the best anything. They probably have one of the best melee lords versus enemy units in a late game situation, because he has regeneration. But yeah, poor Bretonia, poor dwarfs. The vampire counts got, in my opinion, a bit more powerful with this patch. You can see the physical resistance is also 80% for the Banshee. Again, fairly certain it was 75 before. And I think that those are the main changes worth talking about. There are some other relatively minor stat changes, like the Demigryphs. They got a price increase and they got a reduction in weapon strength. I think it was 64. They got a reduction. Let's see, who was it that got an increase in armor piercing and reduction in base? I'm not entirely sure about that. But the most important thing about the Demigryph Knights, their bonus versus large of 32 and armor piercing damage means that on a successful hit against anything non-ethereal, they are sure to do 72 damage. And that together with the charge bonus, I think they got a reduction in charge bonus, but those two things together will still do a lot of damage to enemy units. So what I like about this patch is that it makes relatively small changes to some things, like unit stats, trying to nudge things in another direction. Because in previous patching, we've seen units from going, like the Germanic Horsemen, for example. They went from being a unit that everybody brought to a unit that nobody brought, because they were nerfed into the ground. And then they introduced new powerful units. So with the Blood Knights, I think the Blood Knights are in a bit of a special position in terms of price, because they are exceptionally pricey for being a cav unit, aside from the Warriors of Chaos, Grey Knight and stuff. They cost about the same as a giant. But the thing is, even though you pay a lot for them, if you pay attention, you have, if they mess up, if they get a poor charge, whatever, you have the option to go in with Necromancer or Vampire, Manfred, and you can raise more. So the price might be worth it. It remains to be seen on the battlefield. And also, with the changes to magic, both players will start out with the same amount of power now, which I think it's okay that a player starts with more mana than another player, because that player has spent more funds on his wizards. And magical missiles being less reliable, I think we might still see celestial wizards, but I don't think they're going to be as dominating. Direct damage, like the Witch Hunter's accusation, might be more viable now. So going back to the one celestial wizard, one witch hunter might be the way forward for the Empire, whereas for vampire counts, I'm quite interested to see whether Buna and Leech has been reduced enough that people choose to go for a Master Necromancer on a Nightmare, or most likely a Hellsteed against anything but Bretonia, because Bretonia of course has the air domination. So quick overview of the changes. I'm of course going to back this up by doing a lot of tests with the different units against each other. I've lost count of how many tests I've done here, with good help from Obelix. It wouldn't be possible without him, or it would certainly be a lot harder. So thanks to Obelix for that. But this patch mainly changes how reliable magic is, and some of the passive spells have gotten more powerful, whereas some of the direct damage and magical missiles might have gotten less reliable. Certainly the stats support that, and the testing I've done so far also supports that magic. You can spend all of your mana on magical missiles, whereas you before would be able to snipe 2 enemy characters. Now you'd be lucky to kill 1. So that might be good for some factions. We'll see. Strength and honor.